Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. This is going to be part 2 of the Strikes and Spares refurb, whatever you want to call it. So in the last video, I went through all the electronics, and since then, I've basically just kept repenning. I repinned all 4 of those. I repinned that one. I think I'd already repinned that one in the first one, but it's done anyway. Haven't repinned the lamp board. I'm putting in a Weebly lamp board because I'm going to LED this game, so I'm not sure if I'm going to repin those or not. They're not horrible, but they're not great. I'll have to look at it again and make a decision. Anyway, Jane has been busy cleaning and touching this thing up, and before it was missing a lot of paint, and now it's not. And if I just casually peruse it, you're probably not going to see the spots she painted touched up. Now if I zoom in, like you can see some there, and if you look really closely, you can see what she did. It's not orange, it's kind of dirty orange, because everything around it's kind of dirty. And she's not done with this yet. I mean, she's done painting, but the next thing she'll do after this is she's going to polish it, so get it shiny. And what she'll use to polish it is this Mother's polish step number 1. It's kind of like Novus 2, except it's much finer than Novus 2. And so she's gonna scrub on this thing, get it good and polished. And then she's going to put some Varathane down on at least all the areas that she has painted over, because otherwise that paint will just chip right off again. And after that's done, then she'll wax it. And then we can put the Playfield back together. So all these bulbs, they're all the old originals. Half of them are burnt out, like that one's all silvered. I doubt that one works. We'll change all those out after all the work's done on the Playfield, because it just generates a lot of dust and dirt and everything, cleaning these things and waxing them and all the cleaners. And you don't want all that stuff going down the sockets, so it's best to just leave the old bulbs in there until the end. And then once you're done cleaning them up, then you can take the bulbs out and swap them out. But today I am going to tackle the Chime boxes. They're pretty sad looking. You see those bushings, or I've seen worse. Yeah, I've got the drop targets. They're just hanging here. Got to go through those. Anyway, but bought a rebuild kit from Steve. It's got all the soft parts for these things, and it's also got the coil sleeves. So I'm just gonna take these apart, clean them up, and put them back together again. So I'm gonna start just by taking them off the cabinet here. And they're actually bolted in, which is kind of nice. I'm gonna go ahead and take the chime bars off, so I think I need a yellow one. And I'm gonna cheat a little bit. One more. Probably probably lost that some other time. In any case, and I've got it on film here, but I like to have a picture, so I'm gonna take a picture of where all these chime bars go so I can put them all back. I think they're kind of unique because the spacing between the posts is different, so I don't think they'll go in the wrong way actually. But I'm gonna take these off because they're stuck. Yeah, there's no way that was sounding good with that much friction on there. They shouldn't be. They should be floating, and they're not. Yeah. See, all these rubber pieces are just falling apart. So, before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and stick those in the ultrasonic, just clean them up. It's not going to really matter that much, but I'm going to make them look a little bit better. So here's this kit I got from Steve. They're like, I don't know, 10 bucks or something. And yeah, this is a 4-banger. So it's got 4 sleeves. It's got all the rubber pieces and the little metal sleeves. So basically all those, the rubber pieces and the little brass bushing, the rubber pieces and the brass bushings, you know, you throw them apart, so throw them away. So I'm gonna get some pliers and get all the rest of that stuff off those studs, because sometimes those brass pieces, they get stuck on there. And then after that, I'll disassemble the coils so I can put the new sleeves in there. By the way, I've seen this, and I've actually done it myself. You can get away with putting like a small rubber around there, but it doesn't do as good a job of isolating the bar from everything, and they don't ring. They don't sound as well. It works best if you use the original type of parts, and they're available and they're cheap, so there's no point in chintzing out on it. So I'm going to undo these lower on each one of these. Each one of these coils here. And this is going to take a minute, so maybe I'll put you in fast mode here. So I took the bottom ones out because that gives me enough freedom to get these out. And hopefully these, that came out fairly easy. Those are trash. And these plungers, it's worth just putting them in ultrasonic, clean them up. Maybe put on like this one's got rust all around it. It's kind of rough. Just put in the buffing wheel and smooth it off so it's nice and slick. Because one of these is for the spinner, and the faster it can go, the better it is. Because spinners with chimes is like the ultimate cool thing. And hopefully all these coil sleeves come out. Sometimes if one of these things gets locked on, it'll overheat, and then they're very difficult to get out. These are all coming out fairly easy. And these 3 coils, I want to keep them oriented because it matters which one's which, because you know sometimes it'll do a little melody, so you got to kind of keep them organized. So I'm going to go through these in the ultrasonic and let them for a few minutes. Actually, I'm probably take them and polish them real quick, and then should have another one. There it is. Maybe I'll polish them real quick and then throw them in the ultrasonic. You know, just holding these in my hand. These are like some of the last plunger chimes that certainly Bally made, because, you know, right, just a couple of games after this one, maybe this is the last one, I'm not sure, they went to the digital sounds. And these things are light. They have reduced the mass in them, so I guess they're faster. So anyway, I'm gonna buff them just for a second and then clean them. I can't really do a good job with one hand like that, but it is much cleaner. I'm gonna use two hands to do the rest of it. All right, those are cleaned up. They probably got a little bit of rosin on still, so I'll ultrasonic them a little bit and then pull out all my parts and put it back together. So I just pulled these out, and I didn't mess with pulling these old rubbers out yet, because by putting them in there, it gets them hot, so they're soft and pliable again, so you can actually yank them out of here. And I may put them back in for a little bit more just to get all this black residue off. It's even like, see, it's just deteriorated to the point they're like markers almost. Ripped in two. That one on the floor. Yeah, I'll throw this mess back in here real quick just to kind of get all that nastiness I just got everywhere. Wash my hands and then put it back together. So I got all my new parts over here, new and clean parts. And the first thing I gotta do is put all these grommets in. It's just a matter of persuading them to go into the hole. And do that 3 more times. All right, so I got all those in. I ended up spraying a little bit of glass cleaner just around the holes before I put them in there, just act as a little looby-dooby. It's not gonna leave any residue when it dries up. So it just makes sticking those in there a little bit easier. And now we're ready to, I guess I'll go ahead and put the coil sleeves and put the coils back in there first, and then we can throw the tops on there. So I'll start with this one here. Get a fresh sleeve. You don't actually have to put this in so long as the top is open, because you can stick it in later. A lot of slack here. I know y'all can't see very well. So get it lined up. A good magnetic screwdriver is worth its weight in gold. And this one isn't actually magnetic inherently, but I magnetized it. I'm gonna get the other one started before I clamp this one down, just so it's got some wiggle room. I think it went right in. Put a little pressure while I'm screwing it in so it's nice and tight. All right. It's going to go like that, and that is the super big one. Before that goes on, these go in there. And actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it really matters which way. If the that little bottom flare faces down or faces up, I'd say faces down. It's gonna make it feed on there better. So I'm gonna screw these on here. And I'm not gonna tighten it with this. I'm just gonna get it down there, kind of for those. To save my forearm a couple of turns. See, it's floating, but if you twist it, it's not hitting down like that. So you're not going to get clanks. Actually, that is hitting a little bit, so I'm going to tighten it a little bit more. I think that's good. So I'm going to do the same thing for those other three, and we'll bolt it up there and see what it sounds like. I should have done what it sounds like before because it sounded pretty pathetic. I think I did go through a solenoid test in my last video of this game, and so you could probably hear it, but it's going to sound a lot better after doing this. So I was just getting ready to do these, and I threw those plungers in, and I was like, man, I never put the plunger in this one. So this one's coming off, so I can throw the plunger in there. But anyway, I'll get these 30 in here. And I'm just going ahead and these are going to go upside down from what they were before. Kind of the rusty side is going down. Not that it really matters, but it looks a little nicer. Actually, I think that's the side I want up. And I'm going to take this off and put it back in again. Okay, so now I just got to get these things bolted back in here. And then we'll boot the game up and see what it sounds like. I don't think it's plugged in. Let me plug it in real quick. All right, boot the game up, see what it sounds like. It takes it about 6 or 7 seconds for the game to boot, and then it should play a melody. Pretty good. I'll take that. Now I just noticed something here. Look at that plunger. I have to get the Dremel and drill that so I can even get it out. And that plunger is just like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, a Dremel with a sandstone on there to file that down so I can get this thing out of here and get it polished up. It's nasty. Oh, these flipper buttons, pretty grody. They need to come off and take a bath with some agitating bubbles. Yes, that's what they need. All right, so I got my Dremel out here with the sandstone wheel, and I'm gonna get after this dude here. Not gonna worry about getting it like super rounded and smooth, but because I can, once I get it out of here, I can take it to my regular grinding wheel and smooth it up. Yeah, it's just like calcified almost. That sucker's been on there for a while. C-clip off. Oh, it's got another little tiny washer in there. It doesn't quite want to come off. You smooth it, dress it up just a little bit more. There we go. And it's out. So barrel spring goes in the trash. Almost always that's the case. They're almost always. This one's not broken, but it's grody looking. And I will polish this thing up and it will look like new. Be ready to pierce palms again, so nobody does the Fonzarelli plunge. If you don't know what the Fonzarelli plunge is, you didn't grow up when I did. So there's at least a couple different ways to polish these. I'm gonna use this better wheel. You can also just get some metal polish, like Mother's polish works really well, and put it in a rag and chuck this up into a drill and just hold it with your hand and spin it in a rag with Mother's polish, and you can get a super shiny finish doing it that way. It's just kind of messy. I'm gonna do it in here just because it's a little easier and less messy. See this other side? I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know if you can see the outside of this, but it's pretty sharp and it's going to cut through the rubber pretty quickly. So I'm going to just smooth that up a little bit. No, the light's not wanting to stay up. That looks a lot better. It's still got a couple little sharp burrs, so I'll get rid of those on the polishing wheel here. Yeah, it's super smooth now. So ooh, too hot to hold. We'll get a rag. We'll let it cool down a little bit. So the black is just rosin, but it's shiny. It could use a little bit more, but it's looking a bunch better. I'm gonna keep going at it. So I'm gonna try to clean this plunger receptacle here just with some stainless steel spray away cleaner and some steel wool, and see what I can manage. Oh yeah, it's coming right off. It's just kind of surface rust, so it's coming off pretty easy. If this was a really nice pen, I'd take this off to do this, but it's not. And I haven't cleaned the door yet anyway, so I'm kind of making a mess, but that'll come clean off when I clean the rest of it. I haven't cleaned the inside of this either. It was already nasty, I promise you that. It's getting probably a little bit nastier, but I'll clean that out with that alcohol and a Q-tip. Like in real time, that was like, I don't know, a minute or so, and it's pretty presentable. There's a little bit of grunge right there. I don't know what this stuff is exactly, but it kind of leaves an oily residue, so it keeps it from like flash rusting again once you get it clean. But it does a great job. Look, you compare that to that. This will look like that when it's done. And the front door, you know, it's all, I'll just clean a little bit, you'll see. Just, am I even in your field of view? Yeah, you are. I'll probably put a sticker there, a Bally sticker. I don't know if this game originally had one, some did, some didn't, but it's a good way to fill that space up. It makes it look better. So that is like old tape. We'll just need to get a razor blade to get that off. Even these, if you take the time, even these old rusted bolt heads, you can shine them up too. Doesn't take that long. I'll show you, I'll zoom you in here in a second. You'll see what I've done. You compare it to the one above it. So like I cleaned that one, I didn't clean that one. And you can see this, I just kind of cleaned this side, and this still needs some work, but it's, you compare it to the other side, you know, it's way better. And that's just a couple of minutes, you know. You do the whole thing in like 5 minutes, and it's just, it's a dramatic improvement. And it doesn't, you don't have to unbolt everything, and you know, it's just a pretty quick detail job. It's best, I think I'm gonna get a razor blade, get that tape off. I think that'd be work better than what I'm using. And put a sticker on here. And this thing will look a lot better. So I'm about 5 minutes in maybe, and it looks 100% better. I could probably, if I really focus, I could probably get that shiny. You know, there's still a couple spots in these that I didn't quite get. I don't think I'm gonna go any further. If I wanted to, I could take that off, either swap that washer out or clean it up, but I don't think I will. Even this hinge cleaned up fairly well. Again, I could spend some more time, but I don't think I will. Kind of 80, 20, 90, 10. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. This is a game I'm going to keep for a while. I was thinking, you know, if this was a really nice game, I'd probably mask off this, keep it clean, but it's not clean anyway, and I haven't cleaned it, so I think most of that stuff that I got on there, the smudge, the dirt from the door that I've got on the paint, I think it'll come off plenty fine. It's pretty dirty already anyway. I haven't even touched the sides of this cabinet. It's more masking tape residue there. That'll be fun to take off. Anyway, but here, let me show you what my plunger. Oh, my plunger is in the ultrasonic. I was cleaning up the, just taking the rosin off of it. Because I'm lazy, I don't want to wash it by hand. Perfect. I'll take it. So before I put that plunger back in there, I'm gonna clean out the inside of this, and you'll know when it's clean because just like cleaning your ears, it'll come out clean. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit. And the reason you do this is so that plunger just slides in and out nice and smooth. I mean, it's the buttons, the flipper buttons and the plunger, it's like how you interact with the game. It's nice if it has good feel. I mean, I come to a game and I pull the plunger and it's all sticky. It's like, ugh, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I will say, if you get these things super clean and put it all together, even sometimes I'll take these out and put it in the ultrasonic so it's truly clean. Sometimes they will grip, they're so clean that it grips a little bit, even with that super clean nylon against the metal. So sometimes I will put just, and I hate to do it, but I will put a little tiny dab of lube on the plunger. I hate doing that, but it's almost like it's too clean. I don't know. I've really only experienced that when in cases where I've taken this whole plunger out and got it like pristine clean. Maybe the heat softens up the nylon. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I have encountered that a couple of times. Because the last thing I want to do is put lube on this thing after spending all this time trying to get it clean. So let me get a barrel spring real quick and we'll throw it in there. And I get all my barrel springs from Steve. He's got the best ones around. I'm telling you, he does. I put these on the modern Sterns too. They're bigger, they're stronger, and they're nice and chrome. And what did I do with my C-clip? I may have to go get another C-clip. Let me grab a C-clip real quick. I'll put on that little tiny washer. There we go. See, it's going back and forth 5 or 6 times. That's what you want. Put a rubber on there. I like the black rubbers best for plungers tips regardless, because they're going to get dirty real fast, and the black ones are super tough. So I'm happy with that. There's my missing C-clip. It was laying in the coin box right where I left it. So I'm going to use a little bit more of this and this on my side rails here. And you can see how the heads of these nails are all rusted up, and there's just nastiness all over the place. I'm not going to film doing it, but you'll see what it looks like here in just a second. Okay, I spent 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, I got most of that off, not completely. Some of that. I could have scrubbed longer, but again, 80-20. It looks a lot better. And so next, thanks again, this thing's going on route, and it's going to be stacked in there. There'll be another game about here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these sides up. And the product I like to use when I can is a Spray Away all-purpose cleaner. It's kind of a foaming spray. Sometimes I'll use glass cleaner, the Spray Away glass cleaner. This is a little more aggressive, and I say if I can use it, sometimes this can be too aggressive and strip paint, especially on some of the older EM games where the paint, like if you wipe it with your hand and you get a little dust on it, it's gonna melt the paint off of it. So don't use it on that stuff. But this one, I think is gonna be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and just spray it on there. And I put a fair amount so that it's really wet. I'm gonna spray this whole side here. And if it's really, truly dirty, you start it when it starts flowing. This one's not actually dirty. You'll see the streaks will be brown. So this one's not actually real dirty to start with. Now I'm gonna just let that soak, eat, whatever term you want to use, for 20-30 seconds and wipe it off. And I've got a pristine rag here. Well, it's not completely, it's been laundered, but it's mostly clean. It's clean, it's mostly not stained. And we'll see what I get off of here. I'll just go ahead and do it now. I can tell you here in person, it's already like much more vibrant. It's like the colors are much brighter. Wish I had a dirtier game to show you this one. So that was clean before, now it's not. Still see that, you know, you can probably get that off if you really scrubbed, but that's a big improvement. Here on the front, you see that residue, that's from the alcohol that ran down. And I've also got some of the dirt residue from where I cleaned it with the steel wool. So I'm gonna just spray this whole thing down. While I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and get this other side. Put a little more here, let that try a second time on there. And we'll come back to that. Okay, take a second shot at this. And if this was on the side of the game, I probably wouldn't mess with it, but it's the front where you're gonna walk up and see it, so a little more important. That looks better. And I think what I will do is get a fresh rag and just reapply some of the stainless steel cleaner and polish to the metal parts, just so that it doesn't want to try to flash rust or anything, because it's like too clean. Needs a little bit of, that leaves kind of a, like I said, an oily finish on it. It's an oil-based product, so it's going to keep it from rusting. I also use this on I clean stainless steel legs and evaporust. I always wipe them down with this when I pull them out. These legs, I didn't show it, but they were pretty nasty. I just gave them a Rust-Oleum job, and they're looking pretty good. So I'll spray it on the rag so as not to get it everywhere I don't want it. And let me see if I can find a sticker, and I'll throw a sticker on there real quick, because that's really gonna make it pop. So Steve has these available. I think they're $5 a piece. You get one shot to get it on there straight, and it's easier said than done to get it on straight. It's like I've tried starting from the side. I do worse when I try to go this way. I do better going from the top, but it is, you really can't back up very much. I think that's looking pretty good. And try not to get a fold. That turned out pretty good. I think that's the best one I've ever done. I did it on camera. Whoops. I probably should have not put down that oil first, right before I put this on, because it's kind of not sticking as well as it ought to, because it wasn't clean. Yeah, that was actually absolutely the wrong thing to do, but you get the point. You get the air bubbles, you can kind of work them out if they're not too big or too bad. I think it's going to stick. It just needed a little more persuasion than normal. Little air bubble right there. Now, you know, that's a presentable game. Now that makes me want to do something about that, because everything else looks so good. I think I will. Yeah, I'm going to do something about that. That one kind of stands out too. I never polished that one because it wasn't over here. It's over here. And now the door's clean, so if I polish that, it's going to get dirt everywhere. Order of operations, I should have cleaned that or polished that when I polished everything else. But yeah, I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to take that off and do something with it, because it's horrible looking now compared to everything else. That's the deal, is like, where do you stop? It's like, I should stop right now, but that bothers me. All right, so I got the nut off the back side, but this is going through the handle for the lockdown bar. So yeah. Oh, there's a second nut. That was a locking nut. I got to get another nut, the other nut off of there. And I don't have a socket for it, so. All right, I got that thing polished up. Not perfect, but presentable at least. Yeah, so now this is standing out, and that's still standing out. I don't know. I think I'm gonna just have to walk away from it for this point. Stop here. I could just keep going forever. So, waiting for Jane to come in here and do the work that she's gonna do. And then we'll get this thing, put the pop bumpers in, get everything else, swap out all these targets for white ones, and get this thing ready to go. So Jane's finished up polishing, waxing the Playfield. I've got the pop bumpers, the top side's done. I've got those stand-up targets redone. And I just got through putting in the bottom of the drop targets also. Before these were hanging down, I took the whole things apart, put them in the ultrasonic, cleaned them all up. And before I put them together, I made sure that they all have got their caps on the switches, and those little capacitors there, they're little green ones. What they do is they make that switch, when it closes, it makes it look like it's closed a little bit longer than it actually is, because the MPU is sweeping through the different columns or rows of switches. I guess it's the rows it's looking at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or I don't have 6 or 8 or whatever there are. And it might close and the computer might miss it. So this makes it look like it's closed like 2 or 3 times as long. And actually for the pop bumpers, it's not as necessary as some of the other switches, because when the ball kind of rolls in there, generally kind of slowly. The stand-up switches, you absolutely need one, and like this one here, it's missing. Most of them are actually in here. That one there is missing. Over here, there, it's there, it's there, it's there, and it's there. And then all these rollovers, where they're, see, somebody's replaced that one, which is a good sign. A lot of times these things will short, and when they short, the switch is closed all the time. And if it's in the field, the real simple solution is just cut that capacitor out, and it will work. And that switch will still operate, like, I don't know, 50, 80% of the time. But occasionally, if the ball hits it real fast, it'll miss it. So it kind of sucks, especially if it's like the last one you're trying to get. You might notice it. If it's, you know, early in the ball and you're just bouncing around, you may not notice that you're missing it, but the more heads up players will notice it. And it can be frustrating if it's the last one you're trying to get to and you finally hit it and then it doesn't register. It's like, dang it. So anyway, these little, they're 0.05 microfarad caps. So I'm going to go through here and solder on all of them that are missing. And I'm going to LED this game also. So I got my LED board at home actually. So I'm going to throw all the LEDs in here probably today. And we'll see what it looks like with the old board. Probably not very great. So I was making a mistake. So this is a stand up here. These two are just like little 10-point rubber switches. So they probably never got them. We could look in the schematics and figure it out. Also, the spinner, it doesn't have one. I'm suspecting it probably never had one either, because it will spin so fast. If it had a capacitor in there, it might stay closed between revolutions, and it might miss spins because it stayed closed too long. I bet that would be the case for this. So as I look at it, I think every capacitor on this game is actually present, which is pretty rare for one of these old Ballys. Usually there's at least half of them are missing, but they're all here. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig into LED in this thing. So I buy all my LEDs from Comet. I think they're a little bit higher than some of the other ones, but they're really good bulbs. And for the white ones, I use these frosted sunlights and I use these a lot. And if you want to, if you just want to get one bulb, you can use frosted sunlights everywhere, but I do like to use like red under the red inserts. And something like this, I might put a colored one underneath these, especially the old white ones, because they get kind of yellowy looking like those. I'll probably put some kind of color underneath those 5, 10, 15, 20. And like under these, they're kind of not great looking. I'll probably put some yellow or amber underneath the bowling pins, kind of color match. Something up here that's kind of important, maybe I'll put like what's a red. I don't want to put red inside of red, so maybe I'll put a purple or blue or something to kind of make it stand out. Just kind of play with it and look. I don't remember if those are controlled lights or not, but generally under the pop bumpers, I'm probably going to put white. I've got new, there's the old ones. Yeah, there's the new ones there. So yeah, I'll put white ones underneath there. I generally try to use these wedge sockets in the pop bumpers just because they're more reliable. They don't wiggle loose like the 44 bases do, which doesn't leave you much room to stick them in here. You generally have to put in an LED that's flat at the surface, doesn't have a dome. So I'll stick in a flat topped LED for these pop bumpers so that the cap will go on flush. So I started putting the bulbs in. You see that one there, it's only like halfway illuminated, which is, it's this bulb right here. So I've already pulled it out and I cleaned the inside of the socket with this. This is a socket cleaning stick. They sell them at Marco's and other places. It's like a little racer with abrasive in it. That wasn't the problem, and it's usually not the problem, but about 10% of the time it will be. Usually the problem is the connection between this can and the base there. So if I short across here with a screwdriver, I don't know if you can see there, see how it's lighting up? Actually this is the power side really. So this is the hot side, goes up through the spaces. So if I connect that over to the can, which is the other side of the one side, that's delivering the hot side to the bulb, you see the light coming through the hole there. So the solution is to basically just solder this can to that little base right there. So I'm just going to get a file right there and get my soldering iron pretty hot and just dab a piece of solder right there, and it's a permanent fix, and it's better than original because it's soldered now, it's not pressed fit. And these Bally sockets, they're bad about that. So any of them that are flaky at all, I check for that first, because that's usually that's like 90% of the time that's the problem. And just go through and solder them all in. And it's faster and easier than unsoldering these things and putting in new bulbs. It's also cheaper. So I don't know how well you can see, but yeah, you can see right there. I soldered that little flat spot, so I had this this file right up there. So I tried to get on the base and also on the far side of the bottom plate. So I've got some fresh metal, so the solder will stick really well. Okay, so I got a little blob of solder on there, and now the bulb. This one here. Let me zoom back out again. There we go. Our bulb there. It's not going anywhere. So completely solid. So it just takes a second, especially if you can find them all first and then go through them all, do them all at once, because I usually turn the power off when I'm gonna do it. So it usually takes me a few times, and I haven't started with the underside of the game yet. These are, for whatever reason, the controlled lights seem like they're always worse. Like if you can spin these things with your fingers, they're probably not in good shape, and you probably ought to just go ahead of preemptively solder them in place. Like that one there, see how I wiggled it real easily? It's not in good shape, so that one's gonna get soldered. So otherwise, down the road, it'll start twinkling out, and somebody will be upset about it. So I was putting the bulbs in the pop bumpers, and this one didn't come on. So I was thinking, well, maybe that's a controlled one because it is, 1,000 points when lit. So I'm in the lamp test right now. So this is kind of typical of the kind of nonsense you get when you put a LED in a controlled light with the original lamp board. So I haven't swapped it out yet. Got the old lamp board. These things don't pull enough current for these SCRs to switch over. So the way they work, when they get a pulse, they switch states to the closed, and then they stay that way until they get another pulse. Instead of a transistor, it stays down. So to stay locked in the lock position, they need a certain amount of current, and these LEDs don't provide that current, so they flicker. So anyway, I've got the new board at home, but anyway, I did confirm that I've got current going to it. I just need to swap that board out. So speaking of these pop bumper camps, I was calling up Steve, placed an order for this game and some other stuff, and I ordered, I don't know exactly, he's got the names, and you either do it by email or you call him on the phone. I do the call on the phone because I get the premium service. That way he tells me all my errors that I make when I'm ordering. But anyway, so I ordered like a red sunburst with the orange ring, 100 points, 2 of those, and a red sunburst, 1,000 points when lit in gold. He goes, oh, working on strikes and spares. I'm like, how do you know all that? And he's like, he's been doing it a long time. So I got all the GIs on the Playfield done, all the GIs on the back box done, and this lower half is not working. I don't know why. I'm gonna look right now. I'll see if we can. Okay, orange and green. That's the lower half. Is that connected to the upper? Where's the upper half is? No, that's a controlled light there. Trying to see where, okay, here it is. Here's the upper one. It's white and red. So the white and red is working because that's the upper half, and the bottom half, yeah, that one right there. Yeah. So orange and green, I bet we don't have power right there. I'll check it real quick with the multimeter. So first I'm gonna measure this one that's working here, red and white. And we got 7 volts, and that's set on AC. So now I'm gonna go between the orange and green here. It's showing 2.7. So it can't be 2.7 really. That's probably just like a floating voltage. So it's saying 2.7. Well, that's not right in any case. It should be 7 volts. So yeah, it's probably back on the rectifier board. So I pulled this pin. There's the red and white on the outside. It's got the 7, and the orange and green are the well, assuming it's labeled, yeah, it is from the far side. So it's pin 2, 3, 4, 5. Pin 2 and across 2, 5 should be 7 volts. So I can measure that. I'm gonna do this with 2 hands so I don't short something. So I just measured my multi-pin between pin 2 and pin 5, and I have 7 volts across there. So it's either going, it's the pin connector in here, and I mean, I can see better than you can probably. Well, actually, if I zoom in, y'all can probably see as well as I can in person. Let's see in there. They don't look horrible. Look better than my fingernails. But in any case, you know, here's what we can do. They're still out. I can measure with my multimeter. Oops, let me back out here. I can touch the pin 2 and pin 5 right to the top there and see if I'm getting 7 volts there. Then I know it's to the pin, then I know it's somewhere else. Maybe this connection here. I need to back out. I'm zooming to this one here. The other thing I can do is start wiggling stuff. You know, whoop, I think I just got them to come on. Yep. So that's it. It's a weak connection in here. Yeah. The other thing, you know, that's actually what I did first when I was pulling this thing off. I wiggled it, and I did never see it come on. And if it was just a bad connection there, that probably would have solved it. So the issue is, I don't know if you can see through the shadow. See that as I'm squeezing this, it's going on and off. It's on. I can turn it off. I'll turn on right now, and I'll turn it off. So just squeezing that thing is turning it on and off. So one of the connections in there is bad. So fun. Well, through a process of just wiggling, I'm pretty certain it's this side of the green wire. If I wiggle that wire, I can make it go on and off. So I'm going to take this apart, pull that Molex out, and put a new Molex on there, and hopefully that will Molex pin, and hopefully that'll take care of it. So it's that pin second to the left at the tip of my thumb. You see it's pretty splayed out. The one just to the right of that, the second from the left, at the end of my thumb, is pretty splayed out also. But the one second from the left is the offending one. I'm tempted to just squeeze that back down a little bit, just stick in a little metal probe and squeeze that in a little bit. I may do that real quick. Okay, I just re-crimped it just a little bit. Right there, the second to the left end of my thumb. I think that's gonna make it solid again. Jam this little tiny dental tool in there. It was sharp enough to get in through the side. All right, I rebooted. I'm gonna give it some good wiggles. It's not solid. Dang it. More solid than it was, but it's still, shoot. I wonder, well, the green one's good. That orange is the one that was right next to it. I should have done it too. Actually, the orange one was second to the left. It was the green one was the third, yeah. So now it's this orange one that's causing me problems. Well, I'll do it one more time to the other one, and that should take care of it. So I crimped that connector one more time, and it's stable. I wiggled it good and couldn't get it to go. Realized I got one more bulb here. Take care of that, and then I'll get on the underside of the Playfield. So I took out all the bulbs, I went ahead and replaced these center ones, and those are actually, they look kind of orangey yellow, and they are orangey yellow, but they're actually labeled as yellow bulbs for Comet. All their yellows are kind of tend to the red. So the yellow are kind of yellow orange. They're amber, which are kind of supposed to be orange. They're kind of orangey red. So if you see that color there is pretty close to the insert. So the yellow on the amber inserts usually works pretty well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean all these, bottom of these inserts. They're pretty nasty, with just some alcohol and a Q-tip. And then I'm going to solder every one of these bases, because when I was taking them off, like 2/3 of them twisted real easily, and the other third kind of wanted to twist. So it'll take me about an hour, but that'll make them rock solid from now on. So it'll save me headaches in the future, because, you know, it's the only way to fix it, really. Well, either that or put in all new sockets, which is a real pain in the butt. So, and this is, in my opinion, just as good a solution. And it keeps everything original too. So I got all the bulbs swapped out. Just tried some various colors here. Just seeing which ones I kind of like. I may go with white. I'm kind of digging the teal. Kind of matches the basically teal color that's on the Playfield. I don't like that. That's a pink one, and it comes out kind of peach looking. I think I made it to an amber because you got this field of orange around it. So maybe I'll make these teal, that amber. I ended up just making that one white. I tried a couple of different colors and I didn't like them. So, you know, just whatever floats your boat. These are actually golden yellow, and the golden yellow with Comet are actually more yellow than like the regular yellows are. Like I said, they're kind of orangey yellow. So if you really want yellow, you want to border golden yellows. So these are yellows because they've got kind of a ambery insert, and these are yellow inserts have a golden yellow bulb. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but that's the way it is. Anyway, I think I'm about done with this, and I'm gonna start. Oh, there's a couple of bulbs that are out, obviously. I haven't diagnosed what the cause is. I don't think it's the sockets. I've got them all soldered up. It could be, but I'm swapping out this board. It very well could be that bad SCR on that board, so I'm putting a new board in there tomorrow. So I may plug in the new board and everything works. So I'm not going to spend time with it now. So that's be it for today. So I brought in this replacement lamp driver board. It's a Weebly. It's $100 delivered, so it's going to go right there. It just plugs in. It's got all surface mount components, but the cool thing is, if say that little SCR blows, it is socketed, or it's got holes next to it, so you put in one of the traditional SCRs if one of these blows, and that happens sometimes if you're on the Playfield and you're monkeying around with the game on. You can blow one of these pretty easy. So even though it's surface mounted, you can unsolder that pretty easily and then solder in a new one. So it's still repairable, which is pretty cool. So this thing does require a 5-volt external source. Well, not 5-volt. It's a 6-volt DC. So this little plug here comes with it, and you got to solder the end of this onto a controlled 6-volt source, and probably the closest one would be a good one to be right here, and it's going to be the big blue one because that's the common that goes to all these controlled lights. So I'll solder it in right there, so it'll be a little short little pigtail, about 1.5 feet between here and here. And so I'm gonna do that real quick, and hopefully all the rest of my lights that I didn't have working yesterday are gonna come to life. All right, so I got that board in there. I went ahead and soldered it up to here because I thought it'd be less likely to kind of dangle down and get stuck in the door when you open this. Put a little zip tie there, keep it a little neater. So I am ready to shut this thing up. I'll just go ahead and turn it on now, and give it a couple of seconds to boot up. Clear some of this stuff out of the way, and we'll see if all our lamps are working. Hit this. All right, wow, okay. So there was a couple out here that weren't working, and they're working now. I don't remember where the other ones were at that weren't working. I remember those definitely weren't. That one's still not working. That was another one that was out, and that one's not working. I don't know if I ever changed that bulb, but to be honest, I don't remember putting the bulb in that one. I might have missed that one. See if all these controlled are working. and they're not glitching out anymore either. All like zzz. So I still got to change the colors on these and these. So I'm still gonna figure out. So the 5X and 1000 when lit are both not working. I think that's only two. So pretty certain it's not the lamp driver board. Let me take a look and see. I've already looked at this socket. I tried two different bulbs, so I'm pretty sure it's not the socket or the bulb in this one. I don't think I've done either thing on that one, so I'm gonna start there. So I just looked at Playfield and you see that one. Yeah, I just never put a bulb in that one. So that one's easy. And there's that purple one, well, purple bulb, and that one's not working. So I'm gonna have to figure out why that's not working. Could be that socket. We'll investigate. So first I gotta figure out what color I'm gonna put in there. And I'm gonna get these. I think I decided I was gonna go with this teal, which is kind of swimming pool blue. I think I'm gonna put them all those. So I'm gonna do all that, do this, and then we'll work on this last bulb. So this one is a dirty socket. If I see, it's pressed in there, and if I twist it around, it'll kind of intermittently. So that one just needs some cleaning, which is, you know, this is probably the least likely thing that's going to fix a socket, but occasionally it is the problem. So if you're going to do a bunch of this, you need one of these little sticks to just, well, now I got it stuck, to sand it clean, and that should. Now I'm just trying to see, wiggling it doesn't turn it off, so. All right, so I think I've got every bulb working now. No small feat for these old Ballys, to be honest. Get this down one-handed. Huh, lost one there. Went ahead and put purple there, put the orange in there, or the amber. Yeah, go see what that one is. I bet it's a loose socket. There was a couple, there's another one. There was a couple that I didn't solder because they were directionally challenged. They were upside down and backwards. I'm paying for that now. So I soldered like 80% of them, and I bet I didn't solder that one. I bet I didn't solder that one. So we're gonna get them right now. So that was one of them, and it was soldered. It just had a slightly dirty on the interior, so I took it out and cleaned it with a stick. This one's not soldered, and it's slightly loose. So these are tough to solder because they're upside down. The solder wants to drip off. So I'll put you on the stand and show you how I try to do it. Okay, so the first part that's crucially important is getting some clean metal. So you gotta get a little file. This thing just happens to be about the right shape and size. So you want to clean sand on this side and that bottom of that base, because that's where you're trying to bridge across, and that's the difficulty because it's upside down. Okay, and since this is going to be a little more difficult, I'm going to add a little bit of flux. This will make the whole thing a little easier. I'm going to get my iron, and I'm going to just clean it off so that the solder will really stick to the iron well. That's going to help keep it from dripping. And I have lost my solder. Well, hold on a second. I think I left the solder in the head of the game when I was soldering on that wire for the 12 volts. And y'all's are right in the way of the camera. Some of this will make it even more fun. So it's got a chisel tip, so I'm putting the chisel tip so it kind of, the solder wants to run towards there. So the first thing I'm going to do is, and I've got it cranked up pretty high, 375 C, and I put the solder on the back side so that try to get that bubble of solder to stay. And I've already failed a little bit. There, it sucked up. Now leave it a little bit so the whole thing gets hot enough for it to stick. When I remove the iron, I'm going to pull it up so it kind of tends to keep the solder up towards the lip. There, that's good. So that's a good solder joint between the base and the, or between the can and the base, and so that's gonna work. So that was much more difficult than, say, one like that one, where I can just solder there, just lay the iron on like that and put the solder in there. That one was easy. Okay, I'm back in test mode, and this one's out, so I'm gonna have to do it too. I'm gonna have to do all these. I did like that one, I did that one. Some of these were kind of firm, but they're not firm. I'm gonna do all these. Just get them out of the way. That one and that one. I did the other two, I think. Yeah, I did that one, and I've done that one, and I've done that one. So I'm gonna do these other three, and there's a couple more I missed. I'm gonna go back and do all of them because they all need them. So I'm ready to repopulate this game. I went ahead and organized all the hardware. Just a couple of notes. So, well, these are kind of specialty. They're different color, which is nice. So they're all going to go, these little things go on this little rail guide. It's a little busted, but I think it's going to be okay. All these are going to go around the perimeter. They go into the wood with the plastic to kind of finished, because you're going to see the top. All these are going to go through posts where there's a plastic and a hole in the top of the plastic. Hold the plastic down. All these are going to go into posts where there's not a hole in the top of the plastic, because these are long screws, because the posts are tall posts. You can tell because that little head above that top ridge is pretty tall. These other screws over here, they are shorter, and I've got two of them next to each other. You see they're slightly different in length, because like these white posts, they are shorter than these red posts. So they take a short screw. So if you just have all the screws together, it's real easy to pick up the wrong one, and then you end up with a short one going into a tall post, and then there's not enough screw at the bottom sticking out, and the post's all wobbly. Then you got the two that are bolt heads, or they're not screws, but they're bolts. And so same thing, these are going to go through posts that don't have a hole in the plastic at the top, and these do. So, and then there's these other four over here, which are kind of oddballs. I'm not exactly sure where they go. They may go over here. I'm not sure. Jane took this apart, so I don't know. But I'll just kind of save those for the end and kind of see what's left and see where the holes, where they go. If you drive this in, or if you drive one of these in, all of a sudden it gets really hard really quick, you probably know it's a hole for one of these. I'm guessing it's probably these two, because that'd be four holes for those four things. Although there is this down here, and it could be, so that's got 3 holes. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna just start populating. Oh, there's a little bit of hardware here, and Jane, they put that in there if that's for these two ball stops. And anyway, I'm gonna start going. Oh, one last thing. So I cleaned these posts. I didn't rinse them, so they've got residue from the purple power, but I didn't bother rinsing them because they're just faded. So there's a new one on the left. It's not so much that they're dirty, they're just not red anymore. And once they're faded, you know, there's no coming back from that. So I'm gonna put on new posts, and they'll look a lot better. One last thing, a lot of games will have 2 size posts. This game only has one. It's got all tall posts. Some of them will have tall posts and short posts, where tall posts will generally be around the perimeter of a plastic, and then using these type of fittings, so on the tall post where that's where the plastic is nailed down, and then the posts that are underneath the plastic, we'll use the regular Phillips head top, and they will be underneath the plastic. But this game, every post is a tall post. So I was looking for the plastics for this game, and Jane had already started flattening these things. So this is a set that she's cooked in the oven. She had 190 degrees for 18 minutes. I usually set it for 200. I think she was a little scared. If I get that out of there, those things are flat. And you see these things are just like, they are all wobbly looking. So anyway, I'm gonna stick these in there and cook the rest of these, and while I get to populating. Well, those 4 short screws, they went right here. And there was another one that was in the bell that was separate, because that's kind of broke off. And the reason I figured that out is because Jane took some really good pictures when she was disassembling it so I could see those in there. I thought all of those with the little spacer went on this, but she had a picture that showed a couple of them over here, 2 here, and 2 over there. So yeah, taking good pictures, it's also just kind of nice because you go from looking like that from the original looking like that. Pretty dramatic. All right, so I got all the rubbers and posts in. I did notice that slingshot, that little nylon piece there is busted off, so I'm gonna have to get, I think I've got some. If I don't, I've probably got another one on another game. I'm gonna put the chrome nuts on the top of here, the nickel plated ones. I like them a lot better than the white ones. I do have one decision here. It's not really showing up very well. I've got the original Bally rollover guides, lower lane guides. They're stamped Bally. They're really cool looking, but they're a little busted up. Not real bad, but not real good. Versus the replacement ones, it doesn't show up as well on the camera as it does in person. There's striations. They just, I don't know. The original one's really cool because they say Bally. So I'm torn between going with the old ones that are cracked versus the new ones that are not cracked. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna put those back on there just because, you know, they're only original once. So if somebody wants to get rid of them later, they can always, these are widely available. These are not. Actually, I think maybe I thought I saw somebody on Pinside was making these things. Maybe I saw that. I think I did. So one other thing I did, I made a decision. I went ahead and used short posts for the ones like this, like that. So it's basically, when these things are cut down, it won't necessarily be resting on there. You see it like basically burns a hole where it's rubbing. So all the ones that have the screws, I use short post, including I put short posts here. Otherwise, these things were sticking up a little too high. I don't know what was actually stock. Maybe I could look on IPDB and look at a photo from some other games. This game, as it came in, every post on here was tall. That doesn't mean it came from the factory like that, but that's the way I received it. Some of the early games all did have one size posts. A lot of them did. So this one might have been like that, but having the short posts in between the supports for the plastics is not a bad idea because that way the plastics aren't touching the head of the screws there. So I went ahead and did that. So it's the next day, got the new flipper bushings put in there. I've got the flippers taken apart. I've got the old parts over here, the new parts over here. You see the old coil stops. They've got that pretty good impression that matches the impression on the bottom of the plunger, which really means, you know, those actually made up pretty well. But what that means is the stroke is too long. There's also quite a bit, it's not extreme actually. I've seen a lot worse, but there's a moderate amount. But that's never going to be a nice snappy. So here's the new one. Oh, that's the old one. There's a new one. And these new coil stops, I get these again from Steve. They are the new and improved ones. They're a little bit more robust. You can even see even the bracket material. It's thicker. They're better than the originals. A lot of the parts that Steve sells, he specs out himself. They're high quality parts. All my flipper parts I always get from Steve. They're better than, I mean, maybe Marco sells the exact same things, but some of the stuff Steve has better ones, I know. I don't know about these particular ones, but anyway, so I'm gonna put these, I've just got to swap these plungers on these pawls here. And those pawls are fine. I mean, there's nothing to wear on those. And put it all back together and should have snappy flippers. Okay, so I got the flippers all put back together and I blew apart the slingshots. So here's one of them, the plunger. There's actually not an excessive amount of play in it, but the plunger itself has surface rust all over it. So I'm gonna polish that rust off there, clean the whole thing up. Well, I'll polish it and then clean it, put it in the ultrasonic. And the other side, as I mentioned before, it's got the little nylon pieces broken. I don't have any of those in the shop right now, so I've got another one of these off a junk game in the back, so I'm just going to take the old junk game, probably end up polishing the plunger on it because it's probably the same situation. And then put it all back together. Oh, and I'll replace these sleeves. I'd bet money those are the original sleeves because I don't think anybody hardly ever services these things. I mean, it's nasty. So, I mean, when I was just pushing on it, it's totally rough and just like sandpaper. I mean, it ought to be smooth like those are smooth, you know, but they're not. So I got slingshots back in there. So I think it's time to put the playfield down and play this game. Probably for the first time in decades, I'm gonna say. Yellow rubbers. I don't have the yellow super bands or silicone rubbers. Well, and I'm probably gonna put this on location, so I don't like to use the regular rubbers on location because they wear out so fast and they get really dirty really fast. But I did find a set of yellow silicone flipper rubbers, so this is going to be the first ball play on this game in forever. I'm sure there's going to be some things that don't work, but it's trying to boot up here. I'm going to play one-handed here a little bit. We'll see what happens. Got a fresh ball in there, obviously. Well, at least one of the flip bumpers works. Yeah, playing one hand is tough. Trying to nail that spinner. Thought I get that A. One-handed nudge. Got it. Whoa, that spinner works. I don't think that right pop bumper's popping. Looks like we're on a 5-ball game. Have to fix that. Try to switch the rollovers there. Not going to do that on this game. That's before that was invented. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, that right pop bump. Oh, that popped once. Just need to skirt adjust it, I'm guessing. Get the triple credit for the high score. All right, well, needs a couple adjustments, but I think let me do one more thing. I hit most of these. Let me just. I'm gonna run around here. So some of those it's on easy mode because some of those are tied together. It's all working. Yeah, that one's just not popping. And I know I hit that. I hit all those. So that's all the switches. There's one here, I think. So just the pop bumper is the right, and that one works if I really mash it. So it's just a matter of adjusting that spoon. So no biggie. Anyway, so I'm going to call it quits on this one. I hope you liked the video. Yeah, I think this will be available for play in Knoxville here real soon. If you liked the video, click like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.